What is going on, everyone? Anthony here, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast. And this time, we have a special edition of the show for everyone, because this show covers everything about the reveal of Resident Evil 8 Village, or Resident Evil Village, stylized with the 8 in the title, however you want to say. It's Resident Evil 8, and it is very exciting because now we have more news to talk about, more new Resident Evil, current Resident Evil, and it's very exciting. We're finally on the brink of next gen, and of course, everything was revealed at the Sony PlayStation 5 event about a week ago from when you're hearing the show, and we did multiple videos covering a breakdown of the trailer, breakdown of the screenshots. We would freeze frame and break everything down and talk about it, so we hope everyone enjoyed that. But of course, as we always do, we do a podcast episode that covers everything up until this point, and all the other videos that you saw in the previous week were all recorded within a day of the announcement. So with this podcast that we recorded, we were able to break away for a couple days, sit down, collect our thoughts, write some stuff down, and prepare for this show where we just go over everything and how we feel and how we're feeling about everything. And I hope everyone in the community is doing well and enjoying themselves, and definitely let us know by the end of the show if you feel a certain way about Resident Evil 8. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Definitely let us know in the comments down below. We would love to hear everyone's thoughts. And in this episode, me and John go in and talk about just everything about the trailer and everything that the developers mentioned in their message to the fans. And this should be the only show on RE8 until probably August, because that's when the developers said that there'll be more information. Of course, if there's any other leaks or any news, you know where to report to. We're going to be covering it every step of the way. This starts the road to Resident Evil 8, or the road to the village, however you want to put it. We're very excited to start this cycle with you guys, and it's going to be very fun. And I hope that everyone has been enjoying their time playing some games, enjoying some Resident Evil, and this was a very fun show. Like I said, we pretty much have everything in order for this show, and we definitely don't want you guys to miss this, because if you are a fan of the show, this is us explaining everything. Some theories that we also have about some of the logos, some of the, especially the fetus logo, but some of the little messages that are kind of shoved in the trailer. We talk about how we feel about them. Why is Chris Redfield doing the things that he's doing, and why are we going to this village? Well, hopefully we'll be able to answer some of those questions as we get more information. But the good thing about shows like this is we get to speculate and have theories about where we think it's going and where it could go. And we definitely want to hear from everyone down below. And of course, if you're watching this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. And this podcast is also available on Spotify, iTunes, and Libsyn. You can download everything down below on the link down below. So if you don't feel like watching the video version of some footage that we put in the background as we talk and chat it up, you can also download it as well, all for free. And we appreciate that support. And thank you for everybody that's been along for the ride since RE3. We had a little bit of a break, about like a 3-week break, and then we've been coming back. We've been back for over a month now. So I'm not talking like we just came back from the break. That was more so before our RE4 remake show. So I hope everyone enjoyed that show where we kind of talked about what we would like to see in RE4 remake. But anyway, just wanted to say that, of course, we are also continuing the Legacy series for Resident Evil. And if you're listening to this next week on the channel, we're having a special live stream event where we stream the brand new The Last of Us Part 2, which is going to be coming out probably by the time you're hearing this episode. The weekend it's coming out. I'm going to put this out late Thursday, early Friday. So hope everyone's enjoying that. If you're a Last of Us fan, we're definitely fans of survival horror and survival games here on Let's Talk Resident Evil. So Last of Us 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Definitely going to indulge for a few days and take off from work and enjoy the game. So hope everyone enjoys. Hit the music.
This is STARS Officer Jill Valentine, and you're listening to the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast.
is going on, everyone?
How's everybody doing today?
We are here with a big show for you, a special show.
I think it's special.
This is special.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, this is our first Let's Talk Resident Evil post the reveal of Resident Evil Village, which is Resident Evil 8. And we, of course, did a trailer breakdown. We did a screenshot breakdown. And we also did a breakdown on the developer's message. So we talked about a lot of this stuff already, but we also have tried to collect our thoughts because that was all done the same day everything was revealed. So the idea for me and John to sit down about this show, making this a reveal/theory discussion is probably what we'll call it, Resident Evil 8 reveal and theory show. Just because the only thing we have to really go off this is we have a trailer, some screenshots, and then developer breakdown. So this is like us kind of collecting our thoughts. We're going to go through the trailer and you know, obviously what we thought, but we're also going to talk about some theories as well. So this is going to be really cool and interesting, and hopefully you guys will, you know, leave a comment and let us know your theories as well and what you think about it. But, you know, this was revealed during the PlayStation 5 event on last Thursday. So as we're recording this, it's Tuesday night. So almost a week ago at this point. So we saw a lot of the next-gen hardware and the games and stuff, and Resident Evil 8 was amongst one of those games. We weren't really surprised there. We were expecting it, but, you know, the trailer, you know, was the only thing that we got, but again, it was enough for us to really kind of dissect and to get a lot of information, because there's a lot of weird, fucked up shit in the trailer to talk about. And so, you know, we'll get right into it. So we're going to go through the trailer here, and we're going to obviously discuss amongst ourselves here about what we think of each part of this trailer and stuff like that. The trailer impressions that we got, it opens up with a dark shot of the forest, very snowy mountains, and it is it's a dark setting at first, very dark, and we hear a narration from, you know, what appears to sound like Mia, from what the masses are thinking that it's Mia, because Ethan immediately talks to her afterwards. But she says a little fairy tale, which you have right here. Long ago, a young girl went and picked berries with her mother for her father. It was hard work, but the forest greeted them with dark, cold silence. Bushes empty, yet determined to find the berries, the rascal broke free of mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. The mother, worried, cries faded fast as the girl ran on, over vine, under branch, and into the forest deep. And then Mia states it's just a local tale, because Ethan's like, what's up with that scary story? So this dialogue, to me, I mean, it does sound like a dialogue between, you know, Mia and Ethan, but it's interesting that she says it's a local tale, because local to like where they're living in the house, or local to the village. I mean, that is a little weird, because shortly after that, or right after that, she says, quit being so paranoid. What does that line even mean? Like, why is she saying, what is, from him asking, oh, that's such a scary story, what does that have anything to do with him being paranoid, and why would she say it like that? So it's very like weird for her to say that, like, right off the bat.
He says, what is it with you in those creepy stories, or what is it with you in that creepy story, or something like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I don't think he says scary. I think he's like, it sounds like he's trying to tease her, but it also sounds like he's just talking.
Yeah.
He's like, what is it with you in them scary stories?
Right.
It's not, the line is not delivered very well.
It's not, no.
But it also
has the
seems
flat
like
Ethan
it's like
acting.
A trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And as we see that, we see her, like, we see a woman, a lady. I mean, it doesn't look like Mia from the back, but looks like
her hair looks different.
Unless her hair looks different, she's sitting on a couch, I guess, reading this.
It does look like she's wearing the same thing, or a similar thing at least, as what she's wearing, you know, when Chris guns are down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Do you think that this fairy tale has anything to do with, you know, themes in the game? I mean, it talks about a rascal, a smaller child running into the forest, amongst her, I guess, against her mother's will to find her. There has to be a reason why this is placed here, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like they would have this whole thing
I
that she's reading.
Yeah, I think
I don't
the
know.
fairy tale has everything to do with the story.
Right.
I think that
Going into a dark, empty forest.
There are a
and,
lot of things that are hidden in that story, and I think we're going to see some of the characters from that story.
Right.
Which we're going to get into later on when I talk about things like the old woman that we see in the trailer, and when we talk about the guy with the glasses and the top hat.
Yeah.
He looks like he's straight out of Bloodborne.
And then we see the vampires as well. Which
Vampire-esque ladies, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
which it hasn't been confirmed they're vampires.
No.
We just call them that because she's sucking the blood
Yeah.
of Ethan.
Right, and that's the big theory going around the RE community right now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's interesting because it talks about, you know, going to get berries with her mother for her father.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that's any significance as to, why they're getting berries for the father. But, yeah, that's interesting, and into the forest deep is kind of what we see in the cinematic stuff with the camera kind of panning through the forest, the dark forest, showcasing the beautiful RE engine, which this thing looks, incredible just from what we've seen. And judging from the in-game graphics on the gameplay on the developer's message, this definitely confirms it. I mean, the RE engine looks beautiful here. But, yeah, so she says, quit being so paranoid. And then it cuts to the old man in the cabin when Ethan reveals his Ethan hands, and he pulls back the curtain and sees the old man that shoots point blank at Ethan. And he just shoots at him, and then nothing happens, and he's like, look, like, I'm not, I'm one of the innocent guys. Like, look, don't shoot me. And then shortly after the gunshot, he tells Ethan to shush, and it looks like a werewolf-like creature or a werewolf-zombie hybrid running outside the window as he frantically aims the gun and tries to prepare himself. But as he's reloading, he gets grabbed by, it looks like a bigger werewolf or a bigger arm that takes him through the ceiling. And it's the same arm or maybe a different enemy that takes Ethan through the floorboards, which is pretty nuts in and of itself. At this point in the trailer is kind of when we started to figure out, that it was Resident Evil. This old man, the one thing that my one friend said too, shout out to Dave, because he was watching our breakdown and I saw him the other day, and he was like, yo, you guys are right. Like, there's so many old men in the trailer. They all look the same. And that's a good point, because the old man here, it looks like it's completely different than the old man we see later. But as you saw in the breakdown, we went back and we looked at that stuff just to kind of see what it was. So maybe this is just like an old guy you run into and he just gets grabbed. Like, this kind of seems like it's the beginning of the game, and wherever Ethan gets dragged to or taken to, or wherever he goes from the cabin. But yeah, they get grabbed by like a bigger wolf hand. So we're imagining that, we are going to be seeing different forms of these wolf-like people. We already saw a couple different things in the trailer, and, we can only imagine that there's stronger enemy types out there. We just hope that they also tie it back to a virus. I mean, that's really the main thing that we're, hoping that they keep. We do know now something that we have confirmed, and it was confirmed through our good old friends at IGN. I say that with sarcasm. It is in Romania. So Romania, They did drop that like a couple days after we did our recording session the other day with all the other videos. Romania is where it takes place, and the lei currency is Romanian currency. So that is also one thing that, in the trailer we visually see different parts of Romania. We see the castle. We see, the amazing graphics, the amazing environments here. Graveyard in front of the castle. We already kind of dissected the amazing looking doors and some of the statues and puzzle pieces that kind of look like it's linked into some kind of, ritual cult theme that this game is going to take place in Romania. And, I always think, now that we know that it is in Romania and that's like a thing now, I just think I'm a fan of them going in this direction, because I think they can do a lot of weird, fucked up things with this and still make it a little bit true to the series, as long as they don't make it like too over indulgent, I guess. Like as long as we don't see like magic, like as long as they tie like a virus within this part. You know, I hope that it's not. I just don't want it to be. Not that it seems over pretentious, but like with this setting, they could easily completely drop the ball. But like from what I'm seeing, I'm getting excited about the environments because I'm all for the gothic horror and I love those kind of movies. So for me personally, I like what they're working with here. You know, with the Romanian setting. Well, what do you think about the like just from because during right now in the trailer where we are on this beat list here, we're seeing a bunch of environments. We're seeing all this new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you like the Romanian setting now that we know that it is there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Gothic.
Right.
Architect.
I think me and you share that same opinion.
I love that. That's why Bloodborne's one of my favorite games. I wouldn't say it's in my top 5, but it's like top 10 maybe. It's one of my favorite games.
That's one thing people say about those games. Yeah.
Yeah. Their tone and atmosphere is incredible.
Right.
And I love, you know, I love werewolves just as much as everybody else does. Most people that are fans of them. And vampires I love too. Doesn't mean they haven't been done dirty before in the past. I really like the setting. I like it a lot more than the Louisiana Bayou.
Me too.
I like it a lot more than the farm.
And that killed it for us in 7, guys.
It did. And you know what? If it worked for you, I know we had a lot of comments that were saying like, well, it worked. It was good and 7 was great and all that. It's a battle we're never going to win.
No.
So we don't care if you like 7. This is our channel and we talk about our opinions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And we didn't like 7 very much. And I think that this game is going to prove that it's not just because it was first person. Because a lot of people seem to think that we just hate 7 because it's first person.
No.
That is not even the first reason on my list. It's probably not even my 6th reason on the list.
And we can even sit here and say that it has core elements of a Resident Evil game in it.
Yeah, I definitely think
because
Resident Evil
7
Resident Evil 7 has a lot of the core elements that make up Resident Evil. More so than 5 and 6.
And it put it back in the right track from 5 and 6 when it was so scattered.
For sure. Yeah.
It scaled it back a little bit.
It's just because we're so vocal and we're so, prevalent with our opinions. I think people got the wrong idea that we really hate 7.
And some casual fans that really like 7 that are defensive.
Yeah, which is fine.
That's fine. If that got you into the series,
it's 100%
great.
Fine.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
very
here
defensive
for it.
of Resident Evil 2 because it's my favorite game. You're very defensive of Resident Evil 3 because it's your favorite game. We get it. We butt heads all the time with it.
Right.
When we talk about 2 and 3.
That's true.
And which one's better. We're friends.
The originals, by the way.
Yeah, the originals.
About, right.
So we understand, when we talk to each other, we understand why each other loves it, and we can understand why our fan base loves 7 too. If you are a lover of Resident Evil 7,
you'll probably like this game.
You're probably going to like this game a lot.
That's the good news.
You're probably going to like the design of the game, the way, the direction that it's taking even more. And I do want to put out there just a PSA.
Right.
If you love Resident Evil 7, regardless if you are on the fence of you love it or you aren't on the fence of that you
or you agree with us or disagree.
Or if you agree with us, whichever the case is. This is a safe channel for all Resident Evil fans.
Absolutely.
We might crack jokes and stuff, but don't be like a Resident Evil 7 shame.
Right. Yeah. Don't feel bad because
a lot of people in our comment sections, even some big names that have come around a lot, they're very adamant about their feelings on RE7.
And they know how we feel. Yeah.
And they know how we feel. So they think sometimes I think they can just get away with hating on people. We're not trying to do that. Everything we do is in good taste.
We don't blindly hate. We're going to give you a genuine opinion.
For sure.
And even when I recently played RE7 on the Legacy series, I was like, you know what? This isn't as bad as I remembered it.
No.
You know what I mean? It was just the setting that didn't really do it for me. And I think this will change that.
We smile for the wrong reason when Jack Baker shows up. And I think ultimately that's where they kind of let us down as Resident Evil fans.
That's how we feel.
It could have easily happened to any other franchise. Something like that could have happened to any other franchise. I feel that way about Final Fantasy 15. And I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I feel that way about Pokemon X and Y and on. I'm a big Pokemon fan. I felt that way about Dark Souls 2. And I'm a huge Soulsborne fan. Every franchise has games where your core audience sometimes is very divided. Is a good word.
Yeah.
And 7 split the franchise. It split the fan base. For better or for worse, it's there. And it's going to be compared to 8.
It is.
And I'm telling you guys, if you're a fan of 7, I really do think you're going to love this game. And if you're a fan of not 7, I think you're going to like this game more than 7. That's just the way we feel. We feel really positive. Getting into the nitty gritty of the folklore or the folktale, and why I feel it's pivotal to the story. I think that it's only a small piece of the overall story.
There's definitely more to it, it seems. Yeah.
100%. And I would say that I'm really excited to talk about the fetus and the logo.
Yeah.
Because we do have some theories. Not
Yes.
very many. I think most people in the community kind of have a very similar theory about, it being about the birth or rebirth of Umbrella.
That's the new finger.
The new finger.
The new finger of this game, where people are going to investigate it and fucking
Unlike the finger this time,
there's more to look into.
and they literally said that
This is important.
They were scared it was going to give away too much.
Which is why I think it brought up so much attention, because they're like,
Yeah,
what
which
the
we'll
fuck
get to
does
that
this
at the
mean?
end.
Yes, we got this at the end here.
Well, we'll get to that after we get through some of that stuff.
Right.
But overall, 9 out of 10. I'm super excited. I wouldn't say 10 yet,
Right.
because I'm a little worried, because I think people are going to misunderstand some of the directions I feel like they're going to take it. And I feel like people are going to say it's magic when it's not.
Yeah, Capcom's always trying to like change things.
Yes.
We talked
and-
about this before the
Yep,
show.
we literally talked about it. They're trying to change
They're
things,
always trying to do
but
different things, whether it's for better
Yeah.
or for worse, or if it's just throwing everything in the kitchen sink in there. You know what I mean? Like,
once we get a little further into the conversation, you guys will realize that maybe they're not trying to change it. They're trying to bring something back. And me and Anthony are going to talk about that when we start talking about Natalia.
yeah,
Because if the rumor that she is returning and Alex Wesker is coming back, and if the rumor that this was supposed to be Revelations 3, which would make sense,
which would make sense,
because
yeah.
it would be the continuing story. A lot of you might remember Natalia had superpowers, and whether they're described. I'm thirsty. My bad. Whether they are explained by a virus or some type of genetic mutation, or if they're hereditary,
There's
or
some kind of like tie back to that or something.
tie back to maybe even Evelyn from 7.
Yeah,
She was not a normal person. She was not a normal girl. I believe in the one ending, she like rips Alex Wesker apart, like with her powers. Like she just destroys her in the bad ending. The one where I think it's the bad ending. I'm not really sure, but she has some crazy power. She can see things that aren't there. She's got like some crazy vision, right?
so it wouldn't be like the first time they kind of
No,
with that.
it wouldn't be the first time. And the other thing is that we were cruising the wiki earlier after I read a comment on, geez, I don't even remember where I read it. It may have been Twitter. I think it was Twitter. I was going through a thread. People were talking about it on the reaction. Yeah, I think it was on Twitter. It was on the leaks when people were like, "Oh, Alex and Natalia is coming back." Somebody pointed out that Natalia is from Hungary, and that is literally the country next to Romania. So now I'm starting to wonder, which we're going to get into this more because I have a lot of theories and a lot of speculation that Anthony hasn't even heard me say yet, because I wanted to kind of gauge his genuine reaction for you guys, because he always has good counterpoints and good discussion. But I wonder if Rev 3 was supposed to be what it was, if she is indeed returning, what her ties, Alex Wesker, to Blue Umbrella is, and how she could have used the persona of Natalia and the safety of the Burton family to pull the strings. Although I wonder how Barry would let that happen. As a father figure,
Unless they just kill off Barry.
Unless he didn't know. But now Natalia is mixed with Moira, and Moira's mixed with Claire. So, like, this is a character that's very, very close-knit. We always talk about how Claire holds the entire franchise together because she's literally
she is
everybody but Jill,
Yeah.
basically, right? So she's like, which Jill is associated with Chris by association. So Claire is kind of the piece that holds everybody together. She's the common denominator, and it would make sense if Redfield, Chris would come and be involved with this Alex Wesker thing, especially with his natural hatred for Wesker. We did see him get over a little bit of that in 6 with Jake. And, he's like, I see your father in you, and stuff like that. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. If Natalia comes back, what do you think about that? What do you think about them bringing the Rev storylines into the main lines? Because the rumor is that the Rev 3 was just better. And they decided to go with that instead of whatever they were planning to do with 8. Which we won't talk about because we won't make anybody mad. What they seemingly were planning to do.
No, I think to that point, I mean, them making her part of it, I do like that, because now that I'm thinking of it more, I think the one thing that I always brought up, even in the past from when I played a 7, was that, like, look, man, like, it seems like there's just, like, less and less ties to the other Resident Evil games. And I was a big fan of Revelations 1 and 2. They weren't like the best spin-offs ever, but they're really good. And I think story-wise, they still continued at least something from the original characters, including Claire and Barry and introducing Moira and all that stuff. And obviously Alex Wesker and everything with that storyline. Like, I was a big fan of that. I like Revelations 2 story more than Revelations 1. So, like, the fact that this was or could have been Revelations 3, like, or if they're using elements of her into this game, I think that'd be awesome, because that was my problem with 7, is I felt like, we finally saw Chris, and yeah, we saw a painting of the Spencer Mansion on the wall, but, like, we really didn't. And there's a gun called the Albert, but, like, I feel like they just kind of shoehorn that stuff in. I always felt that way. Anyway, me personally, like, I don't want to speak for John, but I just felt that way. And
no, I think that's another reason why we collectively as a unit, me, you, and Dustin, we're not the biggest fans of 7, because it's not that they took too many steps away. It's that they took too many steps away and then didn't bring anything over.
Yeah, like the gameplay was all there.
Then you see the helicopter with the umbrella logo.
Yeah, like the gameplay was all there, but then, like, you make me play a DLC that is blatantly called Not a Hero.
Yep.
But we'll talk about that later. But
we're going to definitely talk about that, because we're going to have a whole segment on Chris.
Yeah, but, like, it's just like, I don't know, man. I just thought it was a little phony to me with how they took the other story elements. So to that point, to answer that question, yes, I actually would be all for it if they bring her back and just tie it together. Make the story, like, because we just saw the end of Revelations 2, and, like, we were making jokes on stream. We were just busting, Capcom's balls. We're like, we'll never see a continuation of this story ever again.
And I'd love to eat my words.
Same.
I'd love to see it come back.
Yeah, bring them back. Put a bow on it. Close it up. There's nothing wrong with that, because, like, we've seen so many so many franchises and so many series have these openings or closings rather to games that just don't go anywhere, or they never continue it, or they forget about it. And we've seen them do that in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wouldn't be, to that theory. I think it'd be great if they did something like that, because if anything, it's just going to make it feel more like a Resident Evil story-based game, which is what we want. Like, from the story, we want good writing and not as many plot holes and stuff. Like, you're always going to have plot holes in a big franchise like Resident Evil, but
I don't even mean to cut you off, but, like, what you just said is literally how you can define Jill Valentine.
Right.
You'll never see her again. That's my current thoughts.
Yeah. And as a fan,
you saw her in Remake 3,
right,
of course.
And
that wasn't, like, new.
No,
that was still Raccoon City.
And as a fan, I'm still very disappointed by that. I'll have to be honest.
100%.
Jill's my favorite character of all time. Not even just Resident Evil.
One of the 4 Raccoon City people behind.
Yeah, it's been a decade in the game's time. If this takes place in 2019, 2 years after 7, presumably.
Yeah. It says a couple years after, so we're taking a couple as 2.
2019, 2020, Jill's been just fucking gone for a decade, and the last thing we saw of her was the letter to Barry, or the email to Barry in Revelations 2 saying, hey, I'm still in recovery, that kind of thing. That was like the last thing we ever even fucking heard of current Jill, not remake Jill, nothing. So... yeah, man, I feel really bummed about that whole Jill thing.
Yeah, I've said it multiple times in our private conversations. I feel like Jill is Capcom's, like, they're just like, I don't want to say punching bag, but it's almost like Jill is like the one that always gets screwed.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems that way.
And
like,
she's one of the only ones that have had their own game.
Yeah.
It's only Jill and Leon. Jill had 3 and Leon had 4. Every other game is ever shared, mainline game anyway. Well, except for 7, I guess, would be Ethan's game. So like Ethan, Jill, and Leon are the only 3 characters that have ever had their own game.
Right.
That's it. Because I don't want to short Ethan. He had his own game. And now it presumably is having a second one. Although there are rumors that there'll be multiple playable characters. I don't know, man.
I mean, this is their chance to make it. This is their chance just to make it to where they don't overstep themselves too much and stumble, because 7 was like a testing ground for both original fans and original fans, hardcore fans, and then casual fans. So you had like 3 different kind of genre or sections you can put that in. But then with this game, it's like, okay, now that you've already done that, you have to please a lot of people. Like, you got to please the RE7 fans, but you also got to please the fans that have been there since the beginning, and
the fans that came in from Remake 2 and 3.
The fans that came in from Remake 2 and 3, and this is a completely different style than
Perhaps
that.
the DS fans with Revelations 3D.
Yeah.
Or not Revelations 3D.
Mercenaries,
3D.
yeah.
I was thinking Silent Hill.
Right. Well,
that's a terrible
technically
movie.
Revelations was in 3D if you played on the 3DS.
Yeah,
technically.
that's true.
But yeah, I mean, it's say even so, it's like, I don't know, man. I really think that they are, as Joel said once in Last of Us, you're treading on some mighty thin ice. You can be easily, because you can trap yourself. I mean, this can either go real. I mean, we're excited for it, but like everything we're talking about with the story and like how they can
blow our mind, man.
I mean, I hope. I mean, this is their chance to really make 7 like just completely obsolete in our minds, and as far as like how the game's going to deliver on a gameplay standpoint and a story, like really more story and character driven, which is I really want to see. Like, I don't want to see like any VR skeletal kind of like of a game that I felt like some elements of 7 were. Like, we didn't get certain things. I felt like they were pushing that VR agenda too much with 7. Like with this one, if it supports VR, that's cool, but at least then I won't think that it was like made for it. Like, I just feel like 7 could have like done a little bit more if they shifted focus away from that, in my opinion. Yeah. I just feel like they like, I was talking about this earlier, and I wanted to bring this up on the show, and it's a little point that I had about 7 is that like I felt like 7 was like trying to watch a 3D movie, but you're watching it on video and it's not in 3D. Yeah. It's like certain characters and stuff or pop-ups or jump scares would happen, and they would happen, and it would be like in your face. Or if you watch a 3D movie in 2D, like you see like Friday the 13th Part 3, it's in 3D, but when you watch it on VHS or DVD, it's in 2D unless you get the 3D version. But you see these characters like point stuff into the camera, and you're watching it in 2D, and you're like, this doesn't even work for me. This doesn't make sense. I felt the same way with VR. They're doing all, like, Mia comes up from, and she's like, it's a jump scare. She comes up from the ground, and she comes out of nowhere. And like, to me, it felt like they wasted so much shit on it trying to be VR. It's trying to scare you versus like just a game that's in first person working on those scares. I don't want to see that in RE8.
I don't think we will.
I don't want to see that, because, bro, like, that just disappoints me. Like, I just don't want them to shoot for like, oh, well, this would be really cool if it's in VR, but if you're not in VR, it's kind of flat. Yeah. That's just how I felt about 7, and like that was a good comparison that I talked about earlier on the Let's Talk.
I think that's 100% valid. Like, that's something that you can clearly see.
Yeah.
Whether they built it for VR or didn't build it for VR, they knew it was going to be on VR. They knew it was Resident Evil. Capcom knew it was probably going to be a big deal. Capcom
and
knew
Sony
it was probably
gave them that check too.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have confirmation of that, but we imagine Sony was like, hey, this is going to be the AAA title for VR. Well,
yeah, but Capcom also was struggling. This is no surprise. Like, they were struggling.
No, yeah, they were struggling.
I'm sure they were. Street Fighter was an exclusive for Sony. That was around the same time.
Sony was definitely, hey, I'm all 100% on board with you, bro.
Right? Yeah,
we talked about this before when I was like, Street Fighter 5 was exclusive. Monster Hunter World came out at first on the PS4 and had like all of the content first. They still do. Well, they did.
And RE7 was their bounce back.
Yeah,
that was the
Capcom
start of their
plays
bounce back.
with Sony nicely because it's where they started.
Right.
Well, it's where Resident Evil started. So, which congratulations to them as of the recording of this video. I think it was like a couple weeks ago. But
100 million. Right?
100 million copies worldwide. Resident Evil. Everybody take a minute to clap.
Yep, there we go. So
Congratulations to
little applause.
Capcom and Resident Evil and the franchise we love so much. 100 million is not something to sneeze at.
24 years later.
It's not something to sneeze at.
Yeah.
That's like one of the very... I don't even think there's a lot of game franchises that have done that.
No.
Maybe... I mean, I could see maybe like Call of Duties and like...
Yeah.
Your sports games maybe, but like... Whew, we'll have to look that up. We'll fact check it and we'll put it in the description or something. But... Yeah, man, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
What's next?
I mean, so what's next? We talked about the currency and it being in Romania.
Okay, I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
Yes.
So Lei or Lou or whatever.
Which we saw in the developers breakdown when they were showing the inventory, which is an actual weapon case. It's in the the shape of a briefcase, and there's a bunch of squares. So it's a mixture of like RE4 and RE7.
And I want to say this right now because I got a lot of hate comments about this.
Yeah, clear it up now. You got to do this now.
I did not say it was Hawaiian currency. What I said in our breakdown video was that the only thing I knew of that was called lei was a garland of flowers that is found in Hawaii. I said that's a Hawaiian thing, isn't it? I was confused at the name because prior to finding out that lei or Lu is or however you pronounce it, is the actual Romanian currency, which you can go back to our RE8 playlist way back when it first got leaked, when I called it was going to be Romania, because I did.
Yeah.
Without knowing the fucking currency, I said Romania was where it felt like to me, where it sounded like. I did not think it was Hawaiian money. Okay?
Just clear that up right now.
Just to clear that up. Number 2, follow-up question. Me and Ant did some bad math on that video, especially me, because I was not thinking about math. I was thinking about I was looking at so much information at once when I was trying to count the squares. I said something wrong. I think I said like 9 times 5 or 9 times 5 is like 45 or something. I don't remember what I said, 35 or something. I don't remember what I said. I was wrong, whatever. It happens, right? But, watch the whole video because I did end up saying the right answer. And this is just a PSA to anybody listening.
And most of them are casual fans anyway.
Yeah, most of them are casual. Most of them weren't even subscriptions.
Yeah, some of them are passing through.
But, leaving overly negative comments that are aimed towards anybody on this channel, I just mute you and hide you from the channel. Yeah,
forever. we just remove it or clap it or whatever.
Or we clap the comment unless it's constructive. Like if somebody says like I hate RE7, it's trash, we leave that because that's an opinion. But if someone's like RE7 is trash and Ant, you're trash for liking it, no.
Yeah,
we remove it.
Yeah,
I even remove comments that are aimed at other people usually.
Yeah, we just don't want
unless
this
it's
to
like
be
friendly.
a negative or a toxic place.
We're not a negative place, right? We're human. We make mistakes. You probably don't have 12,000 subscribers like we do.
No.
It's easy to make mistakes, especially when you're recording these videos.
Back to back
30
to back
seconds
to back
after
to
the
back.
trailer, after the trailer drops.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah, all in one day.
And when we're trying to process so much information. I said this before in our old breakdown videos. We're going to miss stuff because it's live, right? We're going to miss stuff. We're not going to have 35 minutes to hyperanalyze something before you leave a comment and say you missed this.
Yeah.
If we weren't making videos, that's why the podcasts exist. Because now we're going to get all of our facts straight. All of our thoughts that we didn't have.
Right.
They're all right
It's all
here.
collected, yeah.
That's the end of the PSA. I just want to say that. I won't be replying to anybody else that leaves comments like that. I'm just going to start banning people from the channel. I don't care at that point. Because anybody who wants to just be super negative is just a number that I don't need.
And they're not a subscriber anyway.
So
it doesn't matter.
Not a single one of the comments was actually from a subscriber.
Right. Because you guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome. It's just people passing through.
We've been getting some good traction on the RE8 stuff, which is good because it's a good time. We've been getting a lot of people.
Welcome to everybody that's new as well.
If you're listening to this, thank you.
If this is your first Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast, we have so many of them. It goes way back to even before I became a part of the channel.
Yeah, 2012.
Yep, 2012. It's been a while. But getting back to what we're talking about, I just wanted to clear that up because
that was important. Right.
There was a couple things we made mistakes on. People were making comments about how we don't know what guns are. Me and him are not part of the National
Lemmy
Rifle Association.
The gun is called the Lemmy.
Yeah, it's called the Lemmy, but people in the chat didn't like that. Oh, it's not a Lemmy. It looks like a Sig Pro 6 2.6.
But that's what the game called it. But
the game calls
sorry.
the game calls it a Lemmy, so it's a Lemmy to us, and I really don't fucking care otherwise.
Yeah.
It's a gun, people. It's a handgun. A handgun has been in every single Resident Evil game since the beginning, and
this looks like Ethan's gun.
It looked to me like the gun from Resident Evil 3. I'm not gonna lie, it looked similar, but it's also a handgun.
We know that we're using assets and we're
reusing assets. So did I have a picture side by side while I was like, I think that kind of looks like... No, of course I didn't have a picture side by side. Please use your fucking brain. That's all I'm asking. Because we were like, just have some decency to give me and Anthony the benefit of the doubt. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
End of story.
That's fair.
So to continue.
So after we saw the wolf hand grabbed Ethan, brought him through the floorboards, we saw a quick shot of obviously environments. I just talked about that.
Yeah.
We see shots of the landscapes and the mountains and the graveyard and the castle.
Okay. Stop there. Because I know we talked a lot about this, but I actually have a lot I want to say about this.
Also, it's not the same village from RE4. Okay, continue.
Oh, yeah. Please, whoever fucking said that. Somebody that actually is a subscriber that actually watches our videos a lot, I apologize to you because you're probably going to feel insulted by this. But I don't know how you could even fucking ask that question. Somebody literally said, hey, is this the same RE4 village? No, it's not the same village.
Because now that we know it's in Romania, it's not in Spain.
No, and it's not. It doesn't look anything. I mean, I guess a village is a village, right? People were pointing out that some of the grave markers
look like
the insignia.
Yes.
We get that, and we're going to talk about that because we actually think there could possibly be connections to Resident Evil 4, and we think that them linking Las Plagas with Nemesis could be like a double meaning to this. Which is something that's 100% possible. But the demon door. So I have more to say about it. As many people in our comment section pointed out, I actually didn't know about this. I am a fan of mythology, but it didn't cross my mind when I was looking at it. The demon door does kind of resemble Saturn eating his child or his son. Actually, the way that the demon like kind of stands is very similar to the way that he eats his son as well. It's a very creepy painting. I'm actually going to show Anthony Canal because I don't know if Anthony's ever seen it. Let me pull it up real quick. I got it saved here. Yeah. So, Saturn devouring his son was a painting that was done. It's very similar. To the way that the demon is holding it. And there's a circle, which we called, we're thinking as puzzles. To get through the gate, you have to put the two circles in there. What they could represent, we're not sure. I like the community favorite answer, which is that's a baby. Or some type of newborn.
Because we're seeing a fetus in the logo. We're seeing this theme of the baby. We know.
Or a child. Or something.
We see shots of the baby in the trailer.
Exactly.
A live baby. Ethan's baby. Or seems that way.
I think that the folk tale, there's a lot to take in here. Okay, one at a time. I'm going to talk. One at a time. Brain, don't fail me.
This is it.
There's a demon, and presumably maybe the one relic is a child, right? I'm going to call them relics. Don't shoot me if they're insignias. I don't fucking care. The woman holding the shield, I actually think this could be, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it possibly could be the mother of the little kid that's looking for berries in the forest with the shield and sword. And the little scamp, or whatever they call it, they call the girl or boy the little girl, I think. I think that little scamp could be what the demon is actually devouring.
Or rascal.
Rascal, yeah. I think that's a very big possibility that fixture is going to be tied to something from a long time ago.
And it's in front of, and it looks like it's through the graveyard in front of the castle.
In front of the
castle.
castle.
The door that's blocking you from that castle.
Yep.
Whether that's significant or not, or it's like
now
something
the
important.
shield has a goat head on it.
Yeah.
I don't know the significance of that other than
and we did notice also the legs that were hanging, and because that's when
the legs are hanging underneath of the thing.
Right. Another
however,
pair of legs.
There's some more things about the door that I noticed. In our breakdown video, I actually say it, and I never made the connection, but there's crow feathers behind them. Crows are playing a huge role in this game.
It seems that way.
Because there's feathers on the insignia.
On the insignia, yeah.
There's feathers on that door. It looked like in the trailer that people were scared of crows. When the crows flew over, they were like, they were scared.
And there's 4 feathers.
4 feathers. And traditionally,
On the
Resident
fetus.
Evil has always had crows
around.
as part of their lore. The carrion virus, the crows spread the virus. It's in RE3.
Yes.
They mentioned that specifically. Was it a throwback or was it a throw forward?
That is the big thing.
It could be both,
Right.
right? So I'm really interested to see, because crows are one of my favorite animals. I actually love crows. Shout out to anybody who knows where the Cape May Zoo is. I actually know that crow. At least that crow knows me. I used to go to the zoo all the time, and it lets me pet it. I have a video. I'll show you later, Ant. But that crow actually will come to the bars for me and let me pet it. It won't do that for everybody.
That's amazing.
Because they remember you, because crows are really smart. And I love crows. They're burbs. They're big burbs.
The good burbs.
They're very good burbs.
But
And they remember you.
But we didn't see them in RE7.
Only in the beginning.
Only in the beginning, right, where they
When
fly,
they fly away from the thing.
They made a cameo.
They made a cameo,
Yeah.
yeah. And,
Don't forget the crows in Umbrella Corps. Never forget.
oh, yeah.
They just
never
fly.
forget.
They just keep flying.
They're the real issue.
Shout out to anyone who can.
They're fucking...
Those were bad crows. Yeah. Just dead.
Yeah, they're just dead.
fall down. What happened? Oh, the crow killed me again. I don't know. But
And
yeah.
the motif looks like it's throwing people into hell.
Yeah, the people falling
And there's
into
like
the spikes
spears
and
spikes and
the hands on the fucking wall.
crazy stuff. The hands catching people.
Just looks insane.
It looks insane, and I actually think that it could have some tiebacks to the folklore. Also, just for anybody out there, I did not say this. I did think it. I thought it multiple times. Maybe it's because I'm a Soulsborne player, but I think the witch that you see, the old decrepit lady, I'm calling it right now. I'm going to make a bold prediction and a normal prediction. Which one you want first?
The bold.
Bold prediction, she's the mom from the fairy tale.
Okay.
And whatever she's infected with has kept her alive for 1,000 years. Or however long it's been.
Okay.
Normal prediction, she is also the merchant.
That's what a lot of people have been saying.
I think she's the merchant. I do not think the guy with the glasses is the merchant. I don't know why people are like, it's the merchant! Like, people are like going crazy over him when I think it's very clear that he's a bad guy.
It seems to me that the guy with the glasses and he's smiling, he just looks like he's up to no good.
But he's
looks
a
like,
cool character design.
He looks cool.
They did good with him.
He looks like a Van Helsing type character, which a lot of people brought up. They're like, he kind of looks like Van Helsing.
He does. But
Like
there's
he would
so
come in to
many-
slay shit.
Yeah.
There's so many ways you could spin like what I mean, to me that witch looks like a pretty fucking evil witch. Like
Yeah,
that looks
she
like a
pretty
witch.
creepy, right?
To me it looks like someone that could easily follow you around the whole game. Like
Yeah,
have a
that's what I'm saying.
pursuer.
And I think that she's going to be a very not important part of the story, but she's going to be a part of the story.
Now, question, who do you think that lady is that looks in that old, like that shot, that really like long shot down the hallway, and you see that old lady in like the old-timey dress just standing there? Who the fuck do you think that is? And is
I don't
that
know.
the witch maybe when she was younger? Like, cause
I don't know.
It doesn't look like quote-unquote Emily, which isn't her actual name,
Yeah.
but that was a leaked name that we got that's looking for her father. It doesn't look like a younger lady. We know that
it looked like an
whoever...
older lady.
Right.
I don't know who that is.
Because, like, you see her, like, really quick, and then it just kind of, like, shuffles away from it.
Yeah, I think she's going to be the stalker enemy that we've been hinted at towards since the beginning.
You're right.
Or
Maybe more scripted events with a stalker.
it could be
or-
pulling some Final Fantasy shit, and the game could take place in 2 different time periods at once. And that could be a flashback or some type of hallucination of
Right.
even having visions of somebody else,
from a different time period.
like the tapes.
Like the tapes
Like
in
the
7,
tapes,
right.
But instead of tapes, hallucinations or
right.
whatever.
Because
right?
Ethan's just fucked up from being
Ethan's fucked up
infected
from
after
everything.
7,
Oh,
right.
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
that's a good point.
Because it looked to me, I don't remember. PSA, I don't have the trailer in front of me. I'm not watching it, so I can't remember for
We watched it over a million times at this
avid
point.
details.
Yeah, right.
But I felt like that scene with her down the hallway had a different filter than the rest of the.
It did look like that. It looked more like. It looked more like a cleaner RE7 filter than like what we just saw.
Yeah.
Like it reminded me of the Baker House a little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
Right.
So I'm not sure. Now that could be an artistic direction. It could be nothing. I'm not sure because we didn't see a lot of gameplay.
Right.
But it looked like that. It could also be the ambient lighting. I'm not
it
sure.
also reminded me, I'm just saying this, like that person's like, it kind of reminded me of who we saw, and I know that it was like being shown after the folklore.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of the person that was sitting on the couch.
It did.
Like it looked like that person, like with their hair done up in that old timey way.
Hair done up in a very
like,
way.
but then again, like what you just said, like it could have been a trailer thing too, where they're like putting that narration while we're seeing shots of that person sitting down.
Yeah.
But it's just very weird. Like again, it could easily be Mia, but again, I'm just speculating.
It
here.
also
I'm just
doesn't look like that lady would live in a house with that TV.
Exactly.
So it's very, very strange.
It's cut just like, and I know it's meant to throw us off and have these discussions. You know what I mean?
Like all trailers.
Exactly.
Just like the RE3 trailer.
Yeah, they want to make us think and stuff like that. And you know, that's an interesting point though. Having the witch be someone that is infected, and that's why she's around for this long. Maybe she knows answers that, we don't know, or, or the characters Ethan don't know. It's like stuff that, someone that's been around for that long would only know, or they would know the tales around the village and stuff like that, and people that have gone missing.
Oh,
that would be interesting.
Also, I just looked at a picture of the old lady, the old woman, like the one that I think's the merchant. Her design, like her outfit, also has crow feathers.
And people are saying that is resembling, like, Alex Wesker?
No. I'm talking about the old witch.
Oh, the old witch. Okay.
Yeah, the old witch has crow feathers on her like her being.
Oh, okay.
People think the bloodsucker is Alex Wesker in Natalia's body, which is possible if we're gonna go that route. Like if Capcom decides to take that story and make that prevalent.
part of this. Yeah.
So that's something to think about too, and something I'd love to hear the community's thoughts on is just like, do you think bringing Alex Wesker back is the right move? Do you think it's going to cause plot holes with like the Burton family?
Yeah, like, do you think that they might ruin it by bringing it back and not like really explaining everything?
Is it possible that Natalia is a part of the bloodline, and she's just returning home?
Yeah, this is like.
But Alex Wesker is using Natalia's persona and powers to kind of control these people.
Right.
Is she going by Alex or is she going by Natalia?
One theory that I have is I think that they're trying to use this baby in the game as like a vessel, basically. Like they're trying to sacrifice this baby or use this baby that could be represented with the fetus as some kind of, sacrificial piece or sacrificial lamb, so to speak, to summon something a little bit bigger. Because you have a bunch of these people being controlled, but, you have this theme of this, like, fetus or whatever. But, like, we see this lady in a trailer, whether it's Emily or not, or just some new girl, with this old guy that she seems to be protecting or that she's with. Could be her dad, could be someone, could be anyone, right? But she also has Ethan's baby, or a baby. We can assume it's Ethan's baby because some of the leaks mention Ethan having a kid and stuff like that, or having a baby. And we know that Ethan and Mia are both infected. So what if they just end up giving birth to this weird fucking... I mean, it's a normal baby on the outside, but maybe on the inside there's something more. And maybe they're trying to sacrifice that baby or throw the baby in a fire, whatever the fuck they're going to try to do to this thing. I feel like she might be trying to hide that from them. So it's like you have... like, now, how did the baby get all the way to the village? I don't know. Did Chris Redfield take Ethan and the baby to the village? Did the baby get taken from Ethan? Like, what happened to that? Because we see a baby in the trailer, and even if it's not like Ethan's baby, it could still be someone or someone's child that is trying to be, that they're trying to hide from this said cult. That's, I don't know, trying to spawn someone. Because a lot of times, you see that. You think of like themes of cults and stuff like that, and sacrifice and using someone trying to give birth and stuff like that. I mean, usually what they try to do in some like fucked up horror movies or fucked up cult stuff is like they'll try to take like a pregnant woman and they'll try to use that and have them give birth to the spawn of Satan or some crazy shit, right? But with this, it's like the baby's already born. So it's one of those things where it's like, are they just trying to utilize that, be like, all right, well, this is a perfectly fine baby that we need, and that's why you see that logo everywhere. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's why it's so significant. I mean, yeah, it's a fetus. It's not a baby in that logo. I know that. But maybe that's just part of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my theory. To go along with that, I just think that baby is going to play a big role in the story, and I think it will tie back to this emblem, this logo we're seeing, and that the developers want us to see so much, because I just feel like that they're on the, like, whoever this leader is probably looking for some kind of piece that he or she needs to trigger something, whatever the end goal is for this cult.
Yeah.
And one thing that we see next in the trailer is the umbrella symbol in the puzzle piece. So this could also represent, this logo with the fetus and everything in the circle and with the feathers could be another, rebirth or a birth of Umbrella, or, some kind of, piece of this, because there's no reason why the Umbrella logo would just be there. They're showing us that for a reason, in my opinion. And if they were just to show that for the sake of showing it, I think that's a little, that would be a little weird. Because, us fans know when we see that logo, shit's going down. It doesn't matter if it's supposedly, done for, blah, blah, blah. We obviously know we have Blue Umbrella just waiting right there for us. So, if we know Blue Umbrella's evil, or we know that they're up to no good, or they have these bad intentions all the way leading all the way back, even if, people like Barry or other people can't catch on to this thing, anything with Umbrella just is no good. And that's why my defense for, not liking Not a Hero, because it seemed just so flat. It didn't have like any real development on Blue Umbrella. I would still like them to talk more about it, and like why, I know Chris is working from the BSAA with Blue Umbrella kind of against his will, I guess, or just, it's just what he has to do for his mission. But at the same time, who is this new character? Codenamed Emily. Why does she have this baby? I mean, that's a weird thing. The weird looking character, that we see, with the glasses, of course, like, that's someone that could easily be in charge of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
could be Daniel Fabrin from Resistance. Because
yeah.
Apparently he works with Alex Wesker. It could be this Alan person that was leaked. There's so many different things he could be.
Yeah, I mean, Alan was the other name that was, Emily and Alan were the names that were kind of tossed around. But hey, if we're right on Emily, then maybe, we were actually correct on that. But we don't know. I mean, we already kind of discussed about the witch and what we think. I think the witch I don't think the witch is going to be some kind of a merchant, but I think the witch might be the pursuer. I think that would make sense. Maybe she appears in certain areas of the game and maybe it's, better scripted events than Jack Baker. We can only hope. She has to maybe have some form of attack. I don't know. There's a lot that can go into that, but it's interesting to see if they're going to bring Umbrella, more of the topic now, because we have Blue Umbrella just kind of chilling there, and Chris, supposedly with them. So, but if Chris is going rogue, which we're going to talk about, Blue Umbrella might not even be as relevant as we thought. Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring up in this trailer here, and because it's impossible not to, is the part where it cuts to inside this, fancy looking theater like place, but it has this big lobby. We saw a few shots of it in the gameplay running in real time that the developer showed us, where the vampire like ladies are. They're all dressed up and they got their hats and everything like that. They're not officially confirmed as vampires, but a lot of the theories and the discussions online, people were talking about, they're sucking Ethan's blood in the trailer. They're vampires, right? So they're taking that as like face value.
Yeah, we're just calling them
We're
vampires.
just calling them vampire ladies because that's just what they are. That's what they look like. They look like people from that, that era. But at the same time, who are these women? Why are they there?
Why are they there?
Yeah, why are they amongst...
Apparently one of them looks like Claire.
Yeah, well, that's I guess that's another thing that was going around.
People are also saying the new girl with the ponytail is Claire.
Yeah, that's definitely not Claire. But I mean,
at least not in the RE engine.
That I was gonna say that does not look like Claire whatsoever. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know who these women are and why there's multiple of them and why they're like drinking Ethan's blood. I mean, like, the obvious thing is, like, yeah, they're vampires, but, like, where the fuck... I mean, I can't even say where the fuck would vampires sit in RE because, like, we're seeing werewolves at this fucking point. Like, would I really be surprised they're like, oh, they got fangs and they're vampires? Like, I would just be like, okay.
Well, it didn't look like she... it didn't look like she had fangs. It looked like she cut his hand drank, and then, like, sipped his blood.
Yeah, we didn't see, like, fangs or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, if we did see it, I would just be like, I'm just going with it at this point because...
There's so many things that could happen.
There's so many things that could fucking happen.
Maybe
like,
she drinks his blood and has control over him because she can genetically.
Maybe they're just obsessed with Ethan because he's just like he's too hot to handle. He's got the virus in him, and
or maybe
she's
just fucking with him. Like maybe she's just trying to.
Maybe they're just crazy, or they're they're another part of this cult that is trying to.
And seemingly, the one that does do the drinking of the blood is Natalia.
Okay,
Alex Wesker.
Okay.
If you line up her face with Alex Wesker's face from Resistance, it's almost identical.
And then that begs the question as to, like, why the fuck is she just drinking the blood? And she's not a vampire, clearly.
Except for the blonde. Obviously, she has blonde hair, and the girl has black hair like Natalia would.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, what do you think about this?
I don't think they're
vampire ladies. We'll just call them vampire ladies.
We'll call them the Masquerade, I guess.
The Masquerade, yeah.
We'll call them them, but...
The shit show.
Who knows, man? I'm interested. I like how Resident Evil 7 did like a little feint, right? Because they show us all this stuff, and then they pepper them in, but don't say anything about them. Who knows what they are? I think they're probably tied to... they're the witches, for sure. I think.
You think those are the witches?
I think those are the witches, and I think they're going to have some crazy powers like Natalia did.
Because that would only make sense.
Yeah, or like Evelyn, and I think that we got a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff is weird because.
What do you think?
Like,
will this be the B virus or Beast virus? You know what I mean? Like,
who knows what it's going to be? Because what was it? Evelyn was technically created by a group of people who were working for Albert Wesker. So like that was like his team, I'm pretty sure. So like we potentially have a game that's very convoluted because you have potentially, Albert Wesker, the remnants of his work, and now maybe Alex Wesker trying to use his work, and Blue Umbrella and the BSAA because Chris is there potentially, and the Redfield line, and then Ethan, the Winters family, because they're just trying to have their baby, and this is the first time parents have ever been the focus of RE. None of the sexualities of any character here, other than Claire, who always her love interest always dies, is never explored.
No,
little bit of tension with Leon and Ada, but that's really it.
That's not really ever deeper than that.
It's never deeper than that. Chris and Jill really don't even flirt.
No,
at all.
It seems that they're just partners at this point.
They're just partners.
Because I feel like if they were going to get together, they would.
That was another thing too. Some people were saying that the vampire lady looked like Jessica. Which, if this was supposed to be Revelations 3...
That would make sense.
Would they bring other Revelations characters back? I don't know. I'm not saying I think that. I'm not saying Anthony thinks that. I'm just saying that people were saying it. Kind of looks like Jessica.
Right. It would make sense if they try to tie in more Revelations characters, what I meant by that. I don't know if they're going to...
But she wasn't in 2. She was in 1. So,
yeah.
Who knows?
We're just kind of speculating.
Yeah. Speaking of speculation, let's move on to the... to the symbol.
You want to move this? I mean, I just had a couple other mentions in here.
Go ahead.
We had the Hammerman that we saw.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about enemies too.
Yeah, okay.
We could do that next.
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, we saw the Hammerman, and then that was like a really quick shot of the Hammerman jumping down.
Some people were saying they think he was like saving Ethan. No. he's definitely the enemy.
Yeah, more kind of like really big hammer, kind of like the executioner, but
A
just
lot
not,
like the
not like an
executioner.
axe. It's like the end is not like it's not as thin and sharp. It's more like it looks like a thicker hammer that would have like spikes or some shit sticking out of it, like some crazy.
It's a
shit.
warhammer.
A warhammer. Yeah, that's the best
not
way to
not
put
a
it.
first. Definitely not a one-handed warhammer. It looks like a maul, like a big maul.
Yeah, like something that was like custom made for this thing to wield, which is kind of cool.
Maybe he's a smith.
Maybe
he makes all the weapons that they
yeah.
carry.
I was gonna say that would be cool.
Some RPG elements.
We also see, I wrote it as 3 ninja dudes in the house, but you see 3 people with like ski masks on.
They definitely look like, now that I look at them again, they basically look like kind of like mercenaries, maybe.
That's what it seems.
Navy,
but what house
SEALs,
are they in? You know what I mean? Because you see a shot of like a dark house, and then you see them in it.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm.
Because they can't be with Chris
even...
because Chris seems to be going rogue.
Well, that's what
we're going to talk about.
That's what I was going to say. I think they're with Chris, and I think they're mercenaries, and they led Chris there, or so. To me, it looks like Ethan and Mia's front.
I was going to say it looks like a modern house.
It looks like their living,
right?
Their entrance.
Because you look at the house and it's not like stony or like his cabin. It doesn't have that that old timey feel. So like it looks like a modern fucking house.
Yeah.
Same thing with the fairy tale where you see like a flat screen television in the background. Yeah. It makes you think like, okay, this is Mia talking because
and that living room is definitely Mia because after further examination, like that living room lines up with it if you rotate it.
Right.
With where she gets gunned down. I think that you can even see the same plant maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it looks like his front
like foyer leading out to the house.
As soon as he walks in, as soon as you walk in the door, it looks like a hallway.
Right.
That looks like that's behind Chris when he's shooting Mia.
Yeah.
So I mean, it looks just like maybe
mercenaries
or something.
Maybe Umbrella Soldier. I mean, they didn't.
They also could be
look like Umbrella Soldiers.
They could be Blue Umbrella Soldiers. They could be BSAA. Like we're gonna talk about Chris. I think we're gonna talk about Chris last because I think that's the big.
He's the poster boy for this game. It seems,
but we don't know what he is, and we're gonna talk about that. So
yeah. What's next is leading into what you just mentioned. The fetus logo / symbol that they're showing. They mentioned it's really important. They also said they almost hesitated not showing it at all because it plays a major role into the game. But before I talk about this, the main thing that they also brought up with this logo that kind of coincides with this. They also said they wanted to make the village like a character.
Yes, a protagonist or like a...
Do you think that has something to do with this symbol right here?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah, potentially.
There's a lot of things. I mean, and there actually is a high-res image of this too now that you can look at and really
I think it looks
dissect, however you want.
Just straight up, I think the fan favorite theory is it symbolizes the birth or rebirth of Umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very obvious. There's a multi-layers to what they're trying to show. It could be they're trying to make people confused or whatever. A couple thoughts I have for it. It looks like when it's on the nest specifically, in the high-res image that they showed at the end of the developer's note or developer whatever
message or whatever. Fuck, yeah.
It looks like a black and white version of the Umbrella logo. The wings are the red parts and the nests are the white parts. The fetus inside resembles some things.
It looks like there's like parasites on it and shit.
Yeah, some people pointed out that they saw that in Nest 2 and Remake 3. We did go look. They're similar, but it's not quite the same
They look
thing.
close, but we looked just before recording this show right now.
It's very similar. We looked. I would not be surprised, and we'll talk about that in a little more.
Probably at the end of the
in just a moment. But I would not be surprised if they try to tie the events of RE3, which have now been tied to RE4, if they try to tie those into Resident Evil 8.
Right. So you mean with the Nemesis parasite.
Bring in there, whatever that evolves into.
They're going to possibly use that for 4.
I mean, we said it a lot of times with Nemesis' new form. He's very beast-like. He was very wolf-like.
Right.
He looks like Alien, but he's very wolf-like in like stature and the way he walks on hind legs. And
that'd be awesome if they utilize some of that.
If they utilize that fast forwarding to this to get that beast virus, if that was some type of, he's very roary, he's like snarly. I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do, but the parallels there are pretty obvious, right? Or similarities rather.
That's interesting. The birth of Umbrella rebirth of Umbrella. It's interesting because I'm going back to kind of maybe to what I was thinking about, like, theory wise anyway, is that I think that that baby represents, like a reborn or rebirth or even like something like a fetus, right? But I think it also can represent, like, maybe that's what they need to do what they're trying to do, to set out to do. Like I said, like maybe some kind of sacrificial vessel that they need, like a baby, or they need some kind of newborn. Because I feel like they wouldn't just show like a baby and then just show that fucking logo on the wall for like no reason, unless it was just strangely edited and cut like that.
The other thing is that,
I don't know,
that shot with the fetus on the gate.
Yeah.
Where are they getting these fetuses to just do this? And what I think is that it's possible that that's the fetus of a beast man, and it's going to be very bloodborne in nature, where instead of them mutating or being like the Ganados, it's going to be more like they're always beast men, and this village is always active. It's not something that they transform into. They're going to look very creature-like, right? I think the fetuses could potentially be failed creations.
Right.
Like they have newborns and inject the mom with them, and then they're stillbirths or something. So they pin them up to the wall, praying.
You think each one is actually like a fetus?
A real child. That's my thought. Now, why would they draw that circle all over the place? Well, that could be because that is sacred.
Or I think that, like, again, like that's what they're like. They worship that for said reason. Like, I don't know. My theory is just like, and I might be alone on this. I don't know. I think like it just might be some kind of like symbol as to them trying to sacrifice some kind of young blood or some kind of younger.
Yep.
I don't know what it does for them or what it benefits them.
Exactly.
But that's what we have to find out.
But we also talked about that the potential of them being alive and them being pinned up everywhere and them actually controlling
they're actually alive,
the psychedelic trips or whatever they might do if they're going to go psychological. And then those circles are drawn to possibly...
Maybe they cause like hallucinations, maybe
they
cause yeah, like what the hell?
Maybe those circles are drawn to curse children that are being born. There's so many things we could do.
Right. Or maybe if you come across one of those like symbols or something happens and it like spawns some fucking crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like some, ritual. Like I feel like we saw rituals in RE4. We saw them, praying in the castle, and they have the dagger through the heart, and it's like this whole thing. Like maybe we'll be able to see some kind of ritual with that logo being there, or like you said, if that is alive, if some of these symbols are around and they're alive, well, maybe we'll actually get to see what that does in. We'll actually get to see what that does in the game if it is like this live breathing symbol, which is interesting to think about. Because they don't show it as that, but who knows, in the game it could easily be it. We don't know. It seems though that the reason of importance is because it probably just ties into what this cult's all about. And we already did see the umbrella logo, like we mentioned earlier in the trailer. So they are trying to give us some clear or obvious hints of like, hey, this is going to be still connected to Resident Evil. And I think that's an important thing to talk about while we're on this is, I don't think that me and you are, clearly we're not going to be upset as long as they, still tie this back to some kind of virus or umbrella in some way. I think as long as they do that and they tie it back to some original characters and maybe tie up some of those loose ends, I think we'll be happy, with that. I don't think that we'll be like, hey, they're doing, that's why we're not so appalled by this. And we put out a poll the other day and kind of asked how you guys were feeling about it. And a lot of our community on our side of the fence was positive.
It's like almost 90%.
Almost 90%. So it's like,
And only 2% were negative.
Right. So it also comes to show that, and I know it's not all 12,000 of you, but anyone that's listening to this, new or old to this channel, it's interesting because, we're taking an approach to be like, look, like they can easily make this work in this cult, way. Someone can easily play Resident Evil 4 back in the day, like when I played Resident Evil 4 for the first time and I was killing, the Los Illuminados in the village and stuff, I was like, this isn't Resident Evil. Like, these weren't zombies. Like, this isn't what I'm used to. But they still tied it into some other characters, and they still made it work. I don't see why Resident Evil 8 Village, Resident Evil Village, however you want to call it or stylize it, I don't think that this, can't succeed in that. Unless they, completely drop the ball and it's completely not what we want, and we won't know until we play it. But, there's nothing wrong with them doing something completely different as long as they have some kind of like agenda, whether the case, if this was, another story at one point, or maybe they wanted to connect it to the other games, and Revelations was another series they wanted to, to kind of bring into the main series, because it's not like it wasn't canon. They were canon. They just happened at different times and different time periods in the timeline compared to 4, 5, and 6, kind of danced around that end of the trilogy. But I don't know. I just talking about all this stuff. It just makes me think it's not adding up to be a negative thought process or experience for us going into this. As long as they tie it back to a virus, they tie it back to stuff that we're familiar with, or some kind of cool BOWs. We see that stuff. I just don't think there's a problem with that. Even if it's a lively, because even someone would be like, what the hell? A fetus or a logo that can I was gonna say, summon this and summon that. And
I don't know. I think you're a fan of this. I could be wrong.
Right.
But the sigil or spell circle, or whatever you want to call it, it almost I think they're using a fake language. They're not using real sigils and runes and stuff on the circle.
Yeah.
But it almost looks, the way that it's drawn, it looks a lot like a transmutation circle, which is used in alchemy, which is used in Full Brother Alchemist, the anime. I wonder if, there's different kinds of spell circles. I'm not an expert. I'm not Wiccan or anything like that. My aunt's Wiccan and my uncle was Wiccan, but I'm not Wiccan. So I don't know a lot about them, and obviously we could do research on them. I don't think it's that important.
Right.
For this, we're just theorizing. But I know there's rules on how you're supposed to cut them, and opening and closing the door or portal or
it's very
or
specific.
Very specific. I think it was something like they want to be 6 feet in diameter, or they're it's up to personal preference. But generally, there's different kinds of spell circles and stuff like that. There's cones of power, and then there's transmutation, which is I want to turn these grapes into gold, or whatever. I want to turn these rocks into gold. I want to turn this silver into platinum. I want to turn Anthony into a taller Anthony, whatever, right? I wonder if those circles are designed to be some type of occultist rune of power, that maybe this fetus that might be hiding away in the castle, that has this grip on everybody, kind of like how Evelyn had a grip on everybody.
She did,
because
yeah.
remember, she's clawing her way inside.
She literally turned that family, the Bakers, upside down.
Yeah,
they were just a normal,
and I wonder
Southern
if that's
family.
Gonna be a part of it. What if she
fucked this whole village?
Yeah,
beyond anything.
And it might not be Evelyn. It could be Evelyn's. What if this village is where Wesker was making,
where this
stuff.
evil was born?
Where
it's in the title, so it seems to be this is the village. This is everything.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think that perhaps that these circles are saying, "Hey, I'm giving you the power to watch over me," or whatever. We could be getting way too magical with it, but it would still be explained just like Evelyn was explained. They suffer psychological trauma because the molded virus was in them, right? So if it was in them and she had control over them because she was a part of them, it's almost like a parasite in a way. But a little different, obviously, because it's not something physically inserted in you. Well, I guess it is, because if the molded is a virus, then it's going to happen. But it would be like, you know, when Sadler raised his hand and Leon started walking towards him or stopped, you know, like when Leon was being controlled to choke Ada. Like, obviously they've already done something where, like, with frequencies or whatever
that is,
you can control somebody else to do something. You see it in the Damnation movie. They've developed a bioweapon that doesn't attack people. It attacks only who they want it to attack, right? So it's not something that's really new to this franchise. It's just something that traditionally, especially in the Raccoon City trilogy, it's not something you would ever see.
Do you think it's going to be parasite based because they need that anchor to control people?
To control people. I think so.
Right.
I think it's going to be a cultist based first, parasite based second.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's hard, man. Because I feel like it's going to be virus. Oh, one thing I did want to point out that I just thought of was when I was listing like the different kinds of viruses. Generally, whenever there's a game, the next game has the same virus as the previous game, but something gets added to it. Like you have like the parasites in 4, and then in 5 you have the parasites and the Ouroboros, right? And then in 6 it's everything.
The C virus, and
yeah,
Neo Umbrella. And
exactly, which is created
blah,
from
blah, blah.
everything before it, right? So what if this new virus or whatever this is in this game is going to take back what they had with the molded and Evelyn and all of that shit, but they're going to add something new to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of it being like a parasite, because I guess Evelyn would be considered a virus, right? It was a virus created by Wesker, or at least his team. I don't know. I don't 100% remember, but I think it was created by Wesker himself and his team. The molded go over into 8, and then that turns into something different because this new thing is added to it, and that's how we're going to get the plot line. Maybe the symbol of the sigil of the fetus and the crow wings is supposed to show that the progenitor virus may have started in, Africa, but at the end of the day, Umbrella has always been in this place. This is the beginning of Umbrella.
I would be a fan of that. I would be a fan of them doing that, because bringing back the progenitor virus, like bringing back that idea and bringing back like everything you thought was the origin stuff isn't, like that's not bad as long as they do it, to where it doesn't seem like they like phoned it in or they like that lazy writing or whatever, because like it definitely can work that way,
yeah.
They definitely, want us to see it. There's a reason why they wanted us to see it. There's a reason why they said they were very hesitant to like not show us this. So, there's so many discussions, and I'm sure we're going to make more videos on it. And if we see more stuff on the logo, or, get any updates, of course, we'll even continue that further conversation. But, yeah, definitely a fan of this. I think it's creepy. I think everything, one thing I wanted to bring up too is, Capcom mentioned, or it's been, talked about that, they want to make this the darkest Resident Evil game, or a very darker Resident Evil game. And, I think it has the potential to be. I think the setting definitely gives it that gothic, dark feel already. So if that's definitely, their goal. But even I was like, I was even saying like, darkest Resident Evil game. I don't know. That sounds a little pretentious to me. I don't know. Like they can easily, it's dark, man. It's hardcore. And then it's like not, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But I try not to, think about that stuff too much. Like if I generally feel like it's dark, I'll tell you. Yeah. But like, that's just, I don't know.
It's shaping up to look
pretty dark because we're talking about a fetus logo. So, just a fetus with a bunch of parasites on it. So it's already kind of fucked up in and of itself. But anyway, that's the fetus logo. From what we saw, obviously the several cuts in the trailer and then of course the developer, so we were able to see that up close in multiple videos. But the last thing we have on this list here, because obviously after you see the fetus logo, you see everything, you see the 3 ninja dudes, you see the man with the glasses, all the stuff unfolds, very quick cuts, and then it cuts to black, and we see Ethan on the ground in his house. Chris Redfield walks up with a big trench coat, looking like his, former self before RE7 Chris. And he says, "Sorry, Ethan," and he shoots Mia in the face.
Yeah.
Bop, bop, bop. Dead.
A lot.
And he's like, "I'm sorry, Ethan." Shoots her, and he's like, "Why?" Cuts to black. And that's the end of the trailer. So let's shift focus from the fetus to Chris Redfield. This is important because, guys, like, they changed his fucking design again. Like,
now he looks like somebody said somebody said the Xbox Series X looks like Chris. He's like the Xbox Series X Chris.
He's a little bit, he's got some weight on him, he definitely looks like he's older, he's as he should, but he looks better. I'm a fan of his design. I mean, I think we're both fans of this design because it actually looks like Chris. Like, I really don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that Resident Evil 7 Chris, honestly. Like, I just wasn't a fan of it. I don't think anybody was. And something that you mentioned, because you could tell that Ethan recognizes him, you can tell that they actually just changed his design, not because it's a fake Chris. I don't think it's a fake Chris. I know that's still going to be like a theory, and it's going to be, and granted, it is a fun theory, don't get me wrong. I like seeing what people have to say about it, and I know it's going to be a topic of like, is that really Chris or is it not Chris? And people have been saying that since the Not a Hero DLC, or the ending of RE7 into Not a Hero rather, and now Not a Hero into RE8. But I don't know, I'm a big fan of the design change, but the real thing that they mentioned in the developer's note was that they wanted, Chris to be on the front of the cover looking very dark and menacing, and a darker Chris. And the one thing that it says on the first screen of this trailer is that his story comes to a close, or comes to an end.
Yeah.
And, at first you think maybe it's Ethan, but as you come to think of it more, and Chris is on the cover and the poster and everything, like, maybe this is just the end of Chris's story. And we get to see how Chris Redfield, once beloved hero of, Raccoon City incident and just everything from Raccoon, from the mansion to now, going, AWOL, going rogue, and knowing that Ethan and Mia is infected from 7 because he's directly involved in their lives from 7, and the fact that he showed up and took him out of there. What's making him kill Mia? What is going on in his mind that's making him just straight out execute her? And he apologizes to Ethan, but there has to be more here. What happened to Chris between Not a Hero till now? That's something I want them to explain, because I'm tired of them not explaining more about our main characters here that we should have more information about.
What else?
Explain where he has been. Explain that.
You know what else is interesting? So I was looking. I have the leaks pulled up here, right? The leaks about some things that were going around, and because I couldn't remember the bad guy's name, but the main villain of the story is called Alan R. Right, a mysterious count who lives in the castle and is an esteemed member of the Connections. The Connections was the company that Mia worked for. They're the ones that were responsible for the Evelyn outbreak, or
on
they were
the boat
supposed
and
to take
everything.
it on the boat and everything. The guy that was with Mia was named Alon. The same spelling as the leaks.
Interesting.
So that leads me to believe that the leaks might not be true.
Right. Because they are just leaks.
Because why would they? They did it with Resident Evil 2, Elliot Edwards, and Edward Elliot. but I would hope they wouldn't name two characters the same
I
thing.
hope not. If they overlook that, that'd be yeah.
But I was looking at his design, and he kind of does look like the guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a very similar facial structure. But regardless of that, one of the leaks says that the occultism will play a big role in RE8, which we already knew.
Yeah.
We pretty much have been saying that the
You
whole time.
get that vibe from the trailer, definitely.
It says there won't be any magic, which we also predict. We don't think there's going to be any magic.
No.
But it says that they worship. There's a cult that worships the monsters created by the mold. So it's an infectious fungal super organism, which is what we were just saying when I said that I think that it's going to be some type of control with the virus of the mold and everything. And that fetus does look like it's molded. You know, it has like the weird like tentacles growing out of it, like mold, like little designs growing out of it and stuff. It's going to be very interesting because there's a lot they could do, and I just have the feeling that they're going to kind of make this a melting pot of stories. And that's a good thing, too. That's not just a bad thing. That could be a very good thing.
Now, on the topic of what I was just talking about of Chris, going rogue and stuff like that, what do you think about this being like, his story?
I think it's the end of his story.
Right. But what do you think of it being like the main, like the more of the main focus? I'm a fan of that because
I'm a fan of it too.
I missed him in 7. He just showed up in the last frame in some shitty DLC, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My prediction for Chris is, in a really weird and twisted way, I think Chris is going to kill Mia in the beginning of the game. Ethan's going to end up stumbling upon Chris later. And I think Chris is going to sacrifice himself to save Ethan as the real I'm sorry. I don't know how fans are going to take that if that happens, because I feel like a lot of fans are going to be upset that Chris is going to die with no other main characters around.
Yeah, you see, that's a good point. I was going to say, I was like, all of this, everything Chris has been through to die for fucking Ethan, who's been in a game or two.
I mean, I obviously real people lives are way more important than fictitious lives, right? Fictitious lives. There's never a comparison. But sometimes life be like that, man. I don't know if it's 100% true, right? I mean, that's at least what I've heard before. But like everything Bruce Lee went through, all the crazy movies, all the crazy stunts, everything, and he got killed by an aspirin. Like, life be like that sometimes. Look what just happened to Kobe. He was just going out for fun. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, Kobe. Obviously.
Yeah, rest in peace, yeah.
He wasn't trying to get, to be in an accident, right? With a helicopter. And he had one of the best basketball careers of all time. Arguably, maybe even the best.
Yeah.
Chris is, and obviously, like I said, I'm not trying to compare the weight of the severity of it, but I'm just trying to compare the situation, right?
Right. And Chris
like
Chris is going rogue for like a reason, so I guess he has that. He knows personally that
which we
he
don't
can
know if
die.
He's going rogue. We're just speculating.
We're speculating that he's going rogue, but like when you do that, when you pull that, like whether it's a vigilante or going rogue, like the risk involved. I'm sure that if he does make a sacrifice and he does die, I'm sure he does it knowing that very well could happen. Like this could be his last mission,
his last
to the village or whatever.
He's an old man.
He is, man.
In his 40s,
these
maybe
characters
even
are
in
getting
his
old.
50s.
They're only getting older as they keep, like we just mentioned, these games like to take place in an actual timeline, year base and everything.
Yeah.
These characters just keep getting older. They're not getting younger, and the more you don't utilize them or tell any story with them, us as fans kind of get a little frustrated at that, because it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, we just want to see this character we've been with for like 24 years kind of get some good closure, some good storytelling. And, and I'm not, again, now here's the thing, guys. I just want to say, I'm not against Ethan getting more background, you know what I mean, or more character, more lines. I'm not against that. That was my problem with Ethan in the first game. I thought he was a lifeless character. I'm always going to think that about him in 7. You can't change my mind. However, in 8, you can, because it's a brand new game and it's a brand new take on things. And, you know, why not fix that if that was the main problem that people had in 7? Making Ethan more of a character, I'm not against that. Maybe you see that connection, like, oh man, like I see why Chris cares about him, but like you can't get that vibe in 7 at all.
No.
But with 8, they can change that. So that's why I don't want to be like, oh, I don't understand why Chris would just do it for Ethan. Like, I did say that, but I'm also thinking like, fuck, like you do wish there was more characters around, like what John said.
Yeah. Chris will be
that.
46 years old if this game takes place in 20.
Right. So he's pushing 50.
He's pushing 50.
By the time they make another game, he'll be in his 50s if he's still alive by then. And even then, they're not going to cast him as a main character again. No. So maybe this is time to say goodbye. As long as, but you got like, all I'm saying is that like Capcom's never done this before with a Resident Evil character. You cannot fuck up this scene.
Like
or the event, like they did with Wesker. You're right. I think
Wesker's death was handled very poorly.
Right, and a lot of people would say the same thing, right?
Yeah, I know that's controversial, but I think
it should have been entirely Jill and Chris taking down Wesker.
Yeah, it should have been.
That's a big empty spot.
I don't think Wesker
in my heart
died there.
Right,
that wasn't his time.
Right,
and maybe he's not.
Maybe he's not, but we'll see.
That wasn't the time for them to kill Wesker.
Right, and I just hope that if they're doing this with a main character, which they've never done before, is take one of them away from us. I'll be damned if they fuck it up, man. Like, because that would just be sucked. Like that would be sucked. That would be fucked. I should say. Sucked. It sucks a fuck actually. Because like
it fucks a suck, dude.
It fucks a suck. It sucks a fuck. It fucking sucks, and it's a piece of shit. And I don't like it. Angry video game nerd. But I just don't understand why, you know, that they would do all this for like a lackluster ending of a character. It needs to have that punch.
It does.
And I just don't like. All I'm saying is that, and again, we're just speculating. I'm not saying he's going to die, but it seems that it seems that it's heading that way.
He's gonna die.
Yeah. Oh no, I think he's gonna die too.
He's gonna get punched.
I'm not gonna say
right
I don't
through the chest.
I'm not gonna say I don't think he's like not going to die. I think they're leading in that direction. I think he may have some kind of redeeming moments towards the end. Like there might be a last part where he's like trying to help Ethan. Like
I
he's
think
like,
that's what's going to happen.
Hey,
I think
Ethan,
him and
like,
Ethan are going to try to
they're
help.
going to team up. Like I feel like he might be in the last chunk of the game.
Me too.
I
agree.
hope, because like
I think you'll play as Chris in this game.
Don't let me play as Chris in a fucking DLC.
No.
All right, that's all I'm saying.
That's another point too that we have to talk about.
Not a hero.
I don't think in this podcast really, because I think that obviously we should talk about it once we play the game. So it's going to be a while for this podcast, but we have to keep an open mind too. Is Capcom going to build this game around the idea of having DLC? Because if
it is 2020 and 2021, you know what I mean? It is the current gen.
Then we might not have answers for everything
until 3 or 4. Because you had not a hero come out last, but you had Zoe. End of Zoe.
It didn't matter.
And then you had the banned footage, which was just bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In my opinion, yeah. I fucking hated that DLC. Not a fan. Played it on the channel. Didn't think it was worth the money. And I thought that it was like slapped together. I'm sorry. And let me say this right now, Capcom. If people pay $200 for a collector's edition, put a fucking season pass in the game.
For sure.
That's all I'm saying, because that was my gripe with 7. Like 3 months after 7, hey, we have $50 of DLC. Great. Let me fucking go into my wallet, get more money out. I already spent so much money on this collector's edition, barely got the fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I got the Baker House.
Yeah, it's like, dude, all I'm saying is like, I understand it's 2020, 2021, it's next gen. There's going to be DLC. It's not all going to be there, but like, holy shit, man. Like, if you're going to do DLC, make it like a mini game. Make it like like, I don't know, just make it like the RE2 DLC where it's not story based. It's just mini games.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man. I just like, I hate seeing, I know it's the way it's got to be, but like, man, you didn't do it for 2, you didn't do it for 3. Just keep that trend of like, let's not do it.
Yeah.
Like, let's not do that DLC for story based stuff. Like, I would be really pissed if we barely saw Chris, and then it's like, well, if you want to find out what happened to Chris, play the Chris DLC again, and it's like, can it just be in the game?
Yeah,
like,
just be in the game.
anything main story that's like that important. Like, I don't know. I just like seeing Chris reduced to a DLC just pissed me off, man.
I mean, even being reduced to a DLC is better than what happened to Jill.
That's true.
Which is
that's true.
You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe we'll see Jill at the end of RE8.
Doesn't make it better.
Maybe we'll see Leon at the end of RE8. We don't know. I hope we don't. Honestly, I hope they just.
I hope we
wrap
see our
up.
characters in an appropriate way.
Yeah, I hope we just wrap up Chris if they're gonna wrap up anybody.
Now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think
I'd be cool with every game from here on out wrapping up a character.
Yeah, and I think that whether Chris, dies or he retires or whatever the case may be, but
whichever, they have to. do it right.
They got to do it right, and Chris Redfield's a big part. It seems to be a big part of this game's marketing because he's like, I seriously think like that poster we saw of
he's
him,
on the key art.
That's the cover. Like, I
I'm
think
pretty
that
sure
he's going to
it's
be
the
on the
cover.
cover. So I don't think this is like Ethan and Mia are a part of the story because obviously they're the people that are being brought to this, Ethan is being brought to this village because of what happens to Mia. But like, I think this is going to be a story that the fans are going to be playing to see how it ends with Chris. Like, Ethan's going to be intertwined, but I think us fans, like, we really want to see like how they wrap up that character and what he has to do with it.
You're going to hear this first, everybody.
100%.
My prediction for the end. I do think Chris will turn, and I do think they are going to make you as the player put him down. I think he will be either the last or second to last.
Oh yeah,
boss.
easily. Yeah,
I'm thinking
you definitely
second to
have to
last.
kill him. I think that would be
if they're going to
appropriate.
kill him, they should make the player kill him. And I think it's very emotional for players that have been playing the game for a long time. I think what's going to happen is he's going to end up getting infected by saving Ethan, and then he's going to turn on it.
Right, he's going to sacrifice because he feels like he owes him.
Because even that key art kind of looks like he's got a
he looks like fucked up.
You could kind of squint and see him being molded. Like, you could see him being infected. There's also the whole hallucination route they could go where, Ethan and Chris are, Ethan's fighting Chris because Chris looks like a werewolf.
Right.
But he's not actually a werewolf, and then they're fighting each other. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways they can go. But that's really all I got.
That's all I have too.
I would just say my prediction for the collector's edition.
That was going to be your last thing on here, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I think it's going to be $199.99.
Yep, same thing as.
And I think it's going to be the fetus and the statue. It's going to be like a statue of the fetus or something.
I think it's going to be potentially. I think
I would.
It may be a Chris Redfield statue standing.
That's what I would like.
I would like you know how you have like the circle plaque underneath Leon and Jill, those statues. That would be cool if he's standing and it's like the fucking the symbol underneath.
Yeah.
It would also make sense if he's evil in the game too, because it kind of puts two and two together.
Yeah.
But like, people were saying in the chat, they're like, well, if it's an Ethan statue, it's just going to be a pair of hands, and then I'm like, yeah, probably just hands floating, holding a shotgun. There's your statue. No, it's not going to be Ethan, but I think it would be cool. I mean, yeah, $199 is a good price point. We were even kind of fucking around with the idea of them putting out a Resident Evil 8 console, because it seems to be coming out closer to not the launch game, but
it could be like a head bust.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I think they might stick with the theme of statues. I feel like,
theme of statues.
Or it could be the castle instead of the Baker House.
Yeah,
it could be the castle, like a really cool fucking castle.
Which
and
they could do that.
You can crank a thing and the lights flicker in the castle.
They
and
might
shit,
do that and keep those for remakes.
Yeah, keep it consistent.
Keep
have a Leon and Ashley statue for 4 or Ada statue, whatever the fuck you want to do. But any edition, I mean, fuck, if there's a console edition, we're getting it. 100%. So they got our money already. Capcom has our money already.
One little detail about the PS5, by the way, that I saw that I thought was really interesting on the controller and on the console. The white part has a texture, and the texture is the circle, triangle, square.
Right. It all
cross.
makes, yeah.
It's like
textured
tiny,
into the.
It's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I really like that. I think it's cool.
Yeah. But
maybe maybe the PS5 Resident Evil 8 console could be textured with like Chris's face.
Just Chris's different designs. Just Chris's different designs throughout the years.
Designs.
Yeah, just throughout.
Chonky Chris, Donkey Kong Chris.
Chonky Chris.
That's what the new one's called.
Chonky Donkey Chris.
Chonky Donkey Chris.
Yeah, man. There's so many cool things. I mean, I've been a fan of their collector's edition so far. Besides getting them, which is like the hardest part, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What do you think though? I want to ask you this: English or Japanese edition? What one are you going for?
For the collector's edition, Japanese.
I think so too.
From now on,
I think so too. Yeah, because once I saw that RE3 one that you got, I got pissed.
I want to get the RE2 one. I told you.
Yeah, because that's stupid.
The
It's so much more nicer. Like the
Dude,
box, guys. Like just the way to open it. Like
the USA editions of the collector's editions and Capcom. If you're listening, I love you to death.
And the statues are great. Don't get me wrong. No matter what,
they're the only thing that's consistent.
It's true. The packaging is not there,
bro.
No physical soundtrack.
The UK and Japan get all the good collector's editions. We get shit. Even their cover art is better on almost every game.
They get steelbooks in their collector's editions. We don't get steelbooks. We don't get physical soundtracks. We get a fucking slip card that has a digital code on it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had 2 discs and we had 1.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a little disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Capcom needs to, equalize what they put out for everybody. Because I'm still salty about them giving the keys to RE2 and not.
That is ass. Yeah.
Even with the extra cost, I would have bought them if you let me.
Yeah.
Sell
them separately to GameStop. I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Because it's probably going to be a GameStop exclusive, guys.
I'm going to probably get the Japanese edition like I did this one, and then just call it a day. I mean, they're all.
You almost didn't get this fucking, which is crazy.
Didn't get it. It's Resident Evil, so they're always in English.
Right.
Doesn't really matter if it's a Japanese disc.
Yeah, now, a lot of times all the languages are on the disc now.
They're all on the
it's
disc
a patch
anyway,
that just installs to your console. You can change the fucking languages and shit. So
I'm not really worried about it. It'll probably be then another Biohazard on my shelf.
And no pre-orders went up yet, obviously, because it's way too early. And apparently there's going to be information later this summer. So we're going to keep you updated with that. And we're going to do more videos and podcasts as more information comes out. This is just a reveal and theory discussion show.
Yeah, just a little cherry on top of what we're feeling right now. Very positive.
Yeah, very positive. We wanted to share that energy with you. And, obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, or Libsyn, we appreciate that. Hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up. And subscribe.
For more Let's Talk Resident Evil content.
Absolutely. And consider becoming a member if you want to support the channel. You can just click the little link in the description, or if you want to become a Patreon member, that also helps us out over on Patreon.
And we also stream weekly. We do legacy streams weekly.
Oh yeah,
Resident Evil legacy streams. We just actually finished wrapping up Leon S. Kennedy, Mercenaries, and Resident Evil 4. 5 stars
on all maps.
Yep, it looks like we're going to be doing, as of the recording of this video, it looks like we're going to be doing Leon A. Knife only.
Yes,
knife run. And then members actually get a vote on that stuff, so that's one of the perks.
Yeah, you get first dibs on that, and we've been doing the Legacy series since December of 2019. We want to continue doing it on the road to the village of Resident Evil.
Which we will ultimately do a 24-hour stream for.
Absolutely. Of course. We're going to celebrate it. Yeah, we're going to have to do it.
I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But thank you guys so much for watching. That's all you guys have to listen to us talk for tonight.
Yeah, we kind of talked your guys' ear off, but you guys like hearing these discussions, and we'll have plenty more. I think as far as what's coming on up for the shows, for the podcast shows, we do have the Q&A show that we do owe you guys. That's coming out this month. Yep. And, we're probably going to, we also have the member-voted Resident Evil Paul W.S. Anderson movie podcast, which I wanted to do in June, but we might move that to July just because we had the RE8 stuff we had to cover this month. But that was voted on. We are going to do a podcast review on the Resident Evil 2002.
We could probably record that in June.
We could probably record it this month.
We'll just put
we just have to find time to chill, watch it, and then and everything like that. But that was another voted on thing, so we appreciate all you guys that support us, and thanks for all the love and support. I mean, this week's been great just to hear everybody and see everybody show up for the streams, and
we could definitely fit that in next week.
Yeah,
we'll
definitely
have a movie night, me, you, Dustin.
Yeah, we'll get our schedule together and work it out, and definitely if we can get a full day in, that will be awesome.
Yeah, because we could just record it, everybody could talk about it.
And then we could just put it out.
We'll put it out in July.
Yeah, something like that. So we're gonna have plenty of content coming up. John's gonna be streaming The Last of Us.
Yep.
By the time you're listening to this, The Last of Us
1 will be done.
One will be done, but Last of Us 2 will be streamed next week. By the time you're hearing this, we'll announce it. We'll probably have the event up and stuff by the weekend. But yes, we will be featuring Last of Us 2 on the channel because
it'll probably be a multi-day stream.
Definitely, because it's a long ass game.
Yeah.
In addition to the Legacy series as well, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So until next time, we'll see you in the next one.
Peace out.
Peace.